71 million kina for Central's Hiritano Highway. New Zealand resettlement on the cards. And West New Britain says it is games ready.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening. It's the end of another working week. This is Friday's news. The national government launched a major road maintenance project today for the Hiritano Highway in the Central Province. Funded by the World Bank in partnership with the Department of Works, Central Governor Robert Agorobe officiated the groundbreaking ceremony for major works of a 112-kilometre stretch of road between Berena and Vanapa. The ceremony was witnessed by leaders of the Central Province, Works Secretary David Were and representatives from the World Bank.
It's been a long time coming for the government to start major maintenance on the Hiritano Highway, as MP Peter Iso Aimo says. Since taking office in 2014, he has been pressuring the government to do a major rehabilitation on this transnational highway.
This is a project that is long overdue. For now, I want to say thank you to the donor partners and all stakeholders, and especially the World Bank.
Today, Central Governor Robert Agorobe turned the sword to launch not only the start of major maintenance, but the implementation of a first-of-its-kind road maintenance policy. As World Bank Country Manager Patricia Vivas-Carter explained, contractors will not only rehabilitate the highway, but maintain it over the next 4 years.
So rather than paying the contract after they put asphalt on the road and they leave, you actually have a contract that says, no, you have to be responsible for its maintenance. And you only will get paid if certain potholes, and actually I noticed a lot of potholes on this road, of a certain diameter, larger than a certain diameter, are filled on a timely basis. If you don't get paid.
For the Central Governor, proper roads means better access to services, and that he says complements some of his key policies to cover all corners of Central Province.
The launch of this road project speaks of a major shift for the economic development of our province, whereby my people stand to benefit from greater political, social and economic activity and development along the Hiritano Highway.
The maintenance will start from the Vanapa Bridge to the Berena Station, which is a total of 112 kilometers. Works Secretary David Were says the new performance-based contract, or PBC, is the way forward to maintaining roads in the country, especially when the country is facing tough economic times.
When we're putting funds for road maintenance, we must look at fixing the entire section. So the program that is going to be implemented on a 112-kilometer section is the beginning of the policy arrangement, the contracting arrangements we're doing for many other road network throughout the country.
The maintenance will be done by Deccan Construction and will carry on for the next 4 years. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
Australia's Immigration Minister has edged open the door for some of the Manus Island refugees to be resettled in New Zealand. In an interview last night, Peter Dutton said a deal between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea is possible. Australia cannot stop it. But Mr. Dutton said it would be against Australia's wishes and put the trans-Tasman relationship at risk. Earlier this week, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the only way forward is to work with Australia. To Kimbe and the BSP PNG Games now, and West New Britain Governor Sasindran Mutaville says the province is prepared to host the 7th PNG Games. Governor Mutaville told EMTV News despite delays and financial constraints, sporting facilities are ready for use by participating teams. He says hosting the event is also having an impact on every sector of the province.
Despite being delayed twice, the 7th PNG Games is set, says host Governor Sasindran Mutaville. Speaking today to MTV News, Governor Mutaville says the people of West New Britain are prepared to host the largest sporting event in the country.
It's not mainly due to our fault alone, because the second delay was due to national election. and the first one upon the request from many other members to delay it for another year. And also we are still within the 3 years cycle of PNG National Game.
Governor Muthuvel is optimistic all facilities are ready. He says contractors have been on their toes to complete their task.
Yes, of course, this is called PNG Grassroots Games, in which game we were 100% complete, whether be it South Pacific Games or any bigger events. And of course our boys and contractors have worked day and night to complete the facilities.
16 teams have registered to take part in the 7th PNG Games. Governor Muthuvel urged political leaders to assist those provincial teams facing financial difficulties. He says support must be given to promote unity and sportsmanship.
Really appeal to all the governors and members and to really support, because this is one such event which promotes national unity. This is the only event which we can see all our people from the 22 provinces congregating in one location, and in the name of sports, and also to practice that sportsmanship and promote brotherhood of our nation.
With the opening ceremony less than 24 hours away, participating teams have arrived in Kimbe town, with more expected over the weekend. Jack Lopave Jr., National EMTV News.
7th PNG Games Host Organising Committee Chairman Ruben Kautu promises an eventful official opening ceremony tomorrow, while encouraging West New Britain residents to attend the first ever spectacle in the province. The chairman also welcomed the 16 participating provinces. And as a common culture in West New Britain, visitors will witness traditional village chiefs travel in by canoe to begin the opening ceremony.
In this area alone, that's the practice that they usually do, to come by boat, by canoe, and not only giving something, but to also give their blessings. For everyone that is coming along, we welcome you to Western Britain. Kimbe is the capital of Western Britain. We have a beautiful place here, so everyone can come and enjoy to the fullest. You will compete in the name of sport, and there is only one winner. And even if you win, it doesn't mean that everyone doesn't win. We all a winner here. So in Western Britain, I think we all are winner. We are a winner as well because of the asset that we're getting from these games, the concept of the games. But we welcome you all and to compete to the best of your ability, and at least bring back something to your home province.
The Kimbe Caritas campus received financial assistance from the West New Britain provincial government this morning. Governor Sasindran Muthuvel presented a cheque of 250,000 kina to the school administration in front of students, staff and parents. Governor Muthuvel says the school is new but will be supported to enhance learning for young girls in the province.
Since its establishment, the Caritas Technical School in Kimbe has been struggling to sustain its operation. Funding has been slow from state and private agencies. West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel visited the institution this morning to present a commitment by the provincial government. First order of the day was a mass. Parents and teachers also joined to witness the occasion. With funding cuts experienced throughout the country, Governor Muthuvel says only 250,000 will be presented to the school from the initial $500,000.
So we are going to present you 250,000 kina check, which again I am thankful for the national government. It came through PSIP, that Support Improvement Program.
The institution has 88 students, with enrollment expected to increase next year. Governor Muthuvel says Caritas has proven its capability to improve the level of education for girls in the province.
There is no doubt that education is extremely important or vital for anyone's life. You can be so rich, you can have everything, but if you are not educated, you are still not treated, or you are still not fully fledged human being.
The management of Caritas says this funding will assist build the infrastructure of the school and complete the desired plans for the institution.
And for this development, we do our really best for this country, and especially for West New Britain. because there's a lot of education is very little in here, this place. That's why we choose the West New Britain.
Principal Cecilia Bula says the institution is opening its doors for second chance to female students kicked out in the education system.
The school leavers, grade 10 school leavers, they come and they do pre-11. And next year, after we see the result progress, then they will go into doing grade 11. So next year we're going to have the first class of grade 10s and grade 11.
Currently, the institution has 6 teaching staff. Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News, Kimbe.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more for you on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The government has plans of incorporating religious education in the school system as a core subject for grade 1 to 12 in 2019. This was announced by Chief Secretary to Government Isaac Lupari at a recent departmental heads meeting. The Chief Secretary said he will be working closely with all relevant stakeholders to give priority to this agenda and called on all other stakeholders to develop this policy. Lupari says religious education should be a compulsory subject in the school system and strongly believes it is an alternative method to reduce social problems in the country. He says introducing the subject in schools will have a positive impact on society, producing a disciplined and respectful educated population. Nominations are now open for the Westpac Women's Award for 2017 to 2018 for outstanding women from across the country. The award, which is into its 20th year, will coincide with International Women's Day in March next year, where it hopes to receive more nominations than previous years. The WOW Awards recognize outstanding contributions by women in their communities or fields of expertise, and is also calling for self-nominations this year.
18 months, and nearly every day I hear stories of the great things that women are doing in their homes, in their communities, in their business, in government, in education, in school, in law. We're seeing it more and more, and these women are building a wonderful positive legacy here in PNG for all women and girls, and they're helping to shape the future prosperity of this country.
The Westpac Women Awards have recognized over 100 women from all walks of life who have managed to reach leadership roles within the private and public sector, while others show outstanding leadership within their communities or in humanitarian fields. Bossett Hawks is one such woman and is the previous year's winner of the WOW Awards. Her story is like many other inspirational women in PNG, and it is her hope that the next WOW Awards would be given to a much younger woman.
I would really encourage those young ones who are aspiring or doing things. It's not about awards, it's not about receiving recognition, but it's about being driven, with the kind of passion that we have. And just go about whether you get recognized or awarded or not should not be the reason. We do it because we have a heart, we possess a heart. So whatever our heart tells us to do, if something is not right and we need to correct it, I think it's an opportunity. So anything like that we see, and if it's within our means to correct, if it's within our means to encourage, then we should really strive to do that. And I would really encourage the new entrants that are going to be going in for this year's award. If they know that they've done something, if somebody asks them to put in their application, I think they should. They should, because you just never know what's going to happen. It could be a turning point for you, or it could be you getting an award, or you being recognized, or even if you were just one of those ones in the finalists, would also encourage other people as well.
The nominations for WOW Awards are now open and will close on the 10th of January 2018. Categories for awards includes PricewaterhouseCoopers Sector Awards, DFAT Public Sector Award, Steamships Not-for-Profit Award, SP Brewery Entrepreneur Award, TrueCar Community Award, More Printing Sports Award, the IBBM Young Achievers Award, and the Westpac Outstanding Woman of the Year. Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
The government is planning to work closely with universities to ensure a return on investments in terms of building a world-class industry. Minister for Planning Richard Maru has called on the PNG University of Technology to help with developing mini hydro projects around the country. He said with the aid of remote sensing and GIS tools like precision GNSS receivers, water resources can be identified in order to develop mini hydro systems.
Yes. Minister Maru said the development of mini hydro system in the country would assist in enabling rural and remote communities to have power that will improve quality of life. This would make way to set the foundation for the development of the SME sectors in the rural communities. The minister said Unitech is a development partner that must be helped to develop into an implementation agency for government policies.
We need Unitech to develop core expertise in the design of mini hydro systems for our rural communities. This is a program that the government needs to partner Unitech to build expertise so we can assist our students, especially the third year and fourth year students as their project to design village-based hydro projects.
Maru said in the energy sector, particularly in the mini hydros, there is a potential for development. He said it is time to move in the direction of promoting and supporting country development of specialists in mini hydros. This came before he handed a check of 200,000 kina to the Department of Lands and Surveying at Unitech to purchase new GNSS equipments.
We all need to step up, both yourselves and the government, and look at the relationship where Unitech must now build its research capacity. So you can focus on doing applied research that we can use in partnership with you to deliver infrastructure and services that will help to develop our country.
The government has looked into engaging a specialist mini hydro trainer from Unitech to accompany a team from the Department of Planning and Monitoring to Nepal to study how the experiences in building mini hydros can be shared with PNG. Nepal is a country where mini hydro programs are progressing well. The team will return to the university and commence on rolling out projects for the government. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
The private sector within the agriculture industry is to take center stage at the inaugural National Agriculture Summit. The event, which will commence Monday next week, is a result of the national government's decision to have agriculture as the #1 priority in the Alotau Accord 2 agreement.
With agriculture now the #1 priority of government through the second Alotau Accord, the agriculture sector has moved quickly to sort out issues to ensure the success of agriculture. A major part of this, the staging of the inaugural National Agriculture Summit. To be held from November the 20th to the 22nd in Port Moresby, the event will see representatives from the private sector and government agencies come together to discuss how to work more efficiently together.
We were trying to get the private sectors to come and tell us the issues that they have. What are the constraints? That we as government, responsible government, how do we assist them to provide that environment, the conducive environment that they're looking for, to be able to invest.
With this summit being the inaugural event, Minister Allen also clarified why the government would be giving more prominence to listening to the voice of the private sector.
It used to be government telling the private sector, announcing their policy and 5-year development plan and Vision 2050 and all that. We've been telling the private sector. Now we have not even listened to the private sector and heard from them what are the problems that they're faced with. They want to invest, but sometimes environment is not conducive. They don't have proper roles. The incentives, market access, all that.
With more people turning into agriculture through agriculture SMEs, there are plans to also incorporate these SMEs into the summit in the years ahead.
But in this particular one, we are bringing in two cooperatives. coffee cooperatives. Cocoa and coffee. Yeah, so when you talk about the cooperatives, the cooperative from Morobe who's coming here will talk about all the cooperatives who are involved in coffee and cocoa. So at least we are giving them an opportunity now.
So, the agriculture plans have been framed on the back of consultations with the smallholder farmers. One of the biggest issues they keep raising is the issue of market access. It is the private sector who provides market access. So we want to hear from the private sector what issues they have in terms of helping the smallholder farmers sort that market access issue.
Mirabatulo, National EMTV News.
On the back of the national government's decision to focus on agriculture as a priority in its term of parliament, a senior economist says this puts Papua New Guinea on the right track in diversifying its economy from its heavy dependence on the extractive sector. Justin Smirk, Westpac's senior economist, made these remarks when in Port Moresby this week. He says the decision by the government to place an important emphasis on agriculture is commendable, especially given the opportunities that exist for PNG's agricultural produce to be exported to neighbouring countries.
The development within China is killing off their food production. They're getting wealthier, they're demanding more high quality food and food products, and they're going to have a limited ability to produce it and demand it. The opportunity, there's this window of opportunity that is fantastic to produce and supply high quality food straight into a market that's prepared to pay for it. The big resource sector, we talk about billions of dollars, and you have big shiny plants and you have big shiny buildings, and agriculture is about growing a few plants in the dirt. But the difference you can make through growing a few plants in the dirt is actually quite awesome.
Airline operator PNG Air has further cemented its commitment, welcoming another new ATR aircraft into its fleet. This is the 7th aircraft, and Chief Commercial Officer Paul Abbott says the airline is committed in bringing world-class aviation services to Papua New Guinea.
Alpha Tango Foxtrot is the 7th new ATR 72-600 aircraft, which arrived last night in the country. Mr. Abbott says the new aircraft cements PNG Air's position, operating the youngest fleet in the country.
P2 ATF arrived in the country late last night and is currently down at our engineer.
In the domestic market, also introduced 4 sectors as their operating routes. PNG Air is committed to provide effective and efficient air services to the people of this country.
It's in the summer in the vicinity of 500,000 additional seats into the domestic market. So doing our very best to make life easy for people wanting to travel in and around Papua New Guinea. And that's been with the assistance, the very great assistance of our major shareholders, NAS Fund and the MRDC group of companies, who have supported us in this project to bring first-class aviation services to Papua New Guinea.
The new aircraft will assist in providing additional flights until it commences service on the new schedule on December 4, this peak period.
ATF at this stage will just be providing additional capacity through December, because of the huge numbers of people wanting to travel in that period. So we won't be adding additional routes onto the network at this stage. We'll just be adding additional capacity. Early in the new year, we'll be doing another route review of where we're flying to, and looking at increasing capacity and frequency on some of the key routes. We'll also at that stage have our Dash 8 freighter in operation as well.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Popular musician and former State Deputy State Solicitor Civil at the Department of Justice and Attorney General David Menaka was farewelled today. At a ceremony held at his church, the Motu United at Boroko, was attended by legendary musicians, lawyers, judges and his family members. Menaka passed away this week and will be laid to rest at his home village of Tubuseria over the weekend.
Late David Menaka passed away on Monday, and he was farewelled today by friends, former colleagues and family members at his local church. He was described by many as a humble and respectful person who was dedicated to his work, family and his passion for music. As a lawyer, Menaka served 27 years in public service and resigned for medical reasons as Deputy State Solicitor Civil with the Department of Justice and Attorney General. Despite the full-time job, he still found time to enjoy his passion in music and had been the frontman for the popular DJ's band.
Late David Menaka, one of our good brothers in the music industry. Yeah, and his profession was a lawyer. He's actually a lawyer by profession, but he's also a musician at the same time. He's well known to the public. He's a leader of a DJ's band, and he's been a lot of inspiration to some of us musicians, guitarists especially. Yes, myself and Mr. Laka here, we've been in the industry with David Menaka for quite a while, many years. Yes, and he's been a great guitarist in our lives. Yes, and also he's been a big inspiration to us.
Fellow musician and artist Mr. Laka described him as a loving person who has always shared jokes and lived a balanced life in his career, family and music. Late Menaka is survived by his wife Nanai, children Lohia, Evangeline, David Menaka Jr. and now Stacey Yalo, National EMTV News.
Kikori District will soon be receiving direct medical services in the district by the Yoa medical ship. This comes after member for Kikori, Yoa Air, recently visited the medical ship. He praised Yoa for the medical services they provide, despite the geographical challenges of the province and the capacity building they provide to youths. He said groups such as Yoa Medical Ship play a crucial role in assisting the government. Gulf Province was the first province to receive Yoa medical services in PNG. An agreement will be signed soon to see the services take place. Yoa, who is also Minister for Community Development, says during his term in Parliament he is willing to try new initiatives to see changes take place on the village level. And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3115 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.304 $0.397 Australian dollars, $0.2546 euro and 34.02 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee, cocoa and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading higher while copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 187.08 points higher, the ASX closed at 13.79 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 14.76 points higher. Here with Friday's news, we'll have the latest on the growing crisis in Zimbabwe and more stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, crisis talks are being held in Zimbabwe after its long-term leader Robert Mugabe was placed under house arrest by the military. Officials from the neighboring South Africa are meeting with the 93-year-old and also Zimbabwe's generals who deny there's been a coup.
It looks like normal life. The daily commute to work, children going to school. But look more closely. Tanks on street corners. And what you can't see behind closed doors, delicate and intense horse trading over Zimbabwe's future is taking place. And here's the evidence, the first images of Robert Mugabe since he was placed under house arrest. It has to be said that the 93-year-old still looks in charge. One of the people in the shot is an envoy from South Africa. And here he is with Constantino Chiwenga, the general many believe ordered the takeover. Representatives from neighboring African states have arrived in Zimbabwe to facilitate a deal that could determine whether President Mugabe stays or leaves. Robert Mugabe's power is ebbing away. There'll be no change unless he resigns or agrees to a handover plan. Although the army set things going, ZANU-PF, the party Mugabe created, might force him out. Emerson Mnangagwa, Mugabe's former deputy and believed to be behind it, has several cards he could play. He has the support of the war veterans, the influential group who kept Mugabe in power, who now appear to have turned against him. The other power groups that will be key in any negotiations are the party's Youth and Women's League. The military want to ensure that his departure is done by the book.
Mugabe needs to be persuaded to resign. That's the obvious route to take.
Zimbabwe is once again at the center of regional crisis talks. As negotiations continue, a nation waits. Mugabe may be 93 years old, but he's still a shrewd, sharp, and some would say cunning negotiator. The ultimate comeback kid.
The U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has called for a credible and independent investigation into the plight of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims who have fled Myanmar because of a violent crackdown by the authorities there. 800,000 people have crossed from Myanmar into neighboring Bangladesh. United Nations have described the crisis as ethnic cleansing.
You can see tents and hundreds of people trapped on the beaches. Some 60 people arrived on this raft made of plastic containers lashed together with rope. One big wave could have broken it apart. Yet babies and grandparents made the journey. They tell the same now familiar stories of violence and horror. They kept us on that beach for a month and a half, she says. We had so little food. The army shot my husband, blinding him in one eye. 12,000 people will be given food at this one feeding station today. It is basic nutrition, just rice, lentils and a little oil, but it is enough to keep you alive. There are now more than 800,000 Rohingya refugees here. No wonder they're calling this place the mega camp. And every day it grows and grows. Things are getting more orderly. The mega camp is getting roads and bridges. Thousands of toilets have been dug in just the last few weeks. And geophysicists use drones to help find aquifers deep underground. Now, how important is clean water in a situation like this?
Clean water is fundamental to everything here. Without that, we will have outbreaks of disease, cholera, typhus within days or a few weeks at the most.
But the truth is, this is still basically a giant open-air prison. Soldiers guard the roads out of the camp. Refugees aren't allowed to leave. And they can't go back to Myanmar. Despite all the evidence of atrocities, earlier this week, the Myanmar government issued a report that exonerated its army from any blame.
You're at National EMTV News. TrueCar Sports is up next. Don't go away.
TrueCar Sports.
Welcome to TrueCar Sports. As teams arrive in West New Britain, the host team is rounding up their trainings. EMTV Sports caught up with the host hockey team yesterday afternoon during their final training.
Right in the heart of Kimbertown lies the Independence Park, once a central location for public events, now conveniently turned into one of the three central sporting venues for the 7 PNG Games and one venue that has been utilized for training in the past few weeks. The West New Britain hockey team, for one, have been in training at this venue for at least 6 months, and they're shaping up exceptionally well for a province where the sport is slowly gaining popularity. With their only experience being the debut in the 2014 PNG Games in Leh, the team may be new to the sport, but they have one thing no other team has, and that is home ground advantage.
We play train, but PNG Games will postpone. So we play continue. We play no give up training. We can call now. We play today. I'm last play training. We play today now.
And yesterday's final training saw both the men's and women's team train. The women's team in particular have the likes of former POM hockey player Scholastica Siski bringing her experience to the team as their assistant coach as well as a senior player.
Hockey is a new sport in West New Britain, and there were then like no other competitions held, but with consistent training. Most of the younger players have actually caught up with the training skills level to standard. So I believe in our team though. We could at least be in the top 4.
They will be playing the first game on Monday at the Motorville Stadium ground, but the draw is yet to be confirmed. Dinero Raiko, National, EMTV Sports.
Contingents to the 7th PNG Games in West New Britain province have been assisted by airline operator PNG Air to the host venue. Chief Commercial Officer Paul Abbott told MTV News they are working closely with organising committees of participating teams to ensure smooth travel.
Mr. Abbott says PNG Air is assisting and is working closely with the organising committees for smooth travel.
The teams from Morobe, the teams from Sepik and the teams from Bougainville with last minute capacity to make sure that they can get their teams to Kimbe and contest the games.
Delays in funding support has forced some teams to arrive late in West New Britain. For this reason, PNG Air has put additional flights to ensure teams arrive at the host venue on time.
And a lot of that funding's only just come through this week, so they are now looking over the last 2 days to secure seats so that they can get their teams to Kimbe on time. We've put on additional services out of Vanamo, out of Lae, out of Buka and out of Popondetta to allow the Games competitors to go through to Kimbe.
Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV Sports.
You're watching TrueCar Sports. More action after these short messages.
TrueCar Sports.
Welcome back to TrueCar Sports. England has beaten the PNG Orchids 38-8 in yesterday's first match of the Women's Rugby World Cup in Sydney, Australia. England's Jenny Wellesby was injured in the opening 5 minutes and failed to return, but this didn't stop England from running rampant as they crossed for 7 tries in a strong attacking display.
The Orchids were able to hold out an early attacking raid from England with some committed defence, and they reaped the rewards at the opposing end with Naomi Kaupa pouncing on a loose ball to score the first try in the right-hand corner.
The crossfield kick, it's not a bad one. Oh, fumbled by England. Chance here for the Orchids. Have they scored their first ever World Cup try? It's Naomi Kaupa.
Despite their promising start, England hit back shortly after, with back rower Shona Hoyle besting onto a short ball and showing brilliant pace to burn her defenders for their first try of the game.
With a lovely short ball, the captain, and there is Hoyle.
Despite England gaining momentum, the Orchids regained the lead after centre Anna Oifua capitalised on a deft kick from a halfback to cross to the left of the uprights.
Through there was Goro. It comes the way now of the number 3. It's
It became a tug-of-war contest with tempers flaring following some brutal defensive efforts from both sides. But it was England who found their way as Amy Hardcastle broke the line and sprinted 90 metres for an incredible solo try.
She's got too much speed, and Amy Hardcastle coast to coast.
With a wave of momentum behind them, England dominated the closing stages, with Stanley scoring a try of her own thanks to a perfectly timed cutout pass from Lois Forsell. Winger Charlotte Booth was on the end of a classy backline movement to score a last gasp try in the left-hand corner to give her side a strong 18-8 advantage at half-time.
There's Dobson with a pearler of a ball to Charlotte Booth in the corner.
Both teams were battling in the opening exchanges, with PNG searching for a much-needs try to get themselves back into the contest, but England were gusty in defence. Stanley eventually found some open space and beat a shot of defenders on her way to the try line, but some scrambling defence from the Orchids was enough to hold her out. The Orchids were fighting despite the scoreline, and they looked to have grabbed a try against the fun of play, with Amelia Cook kicking twice back-to-back before eventually offloading to Joanne Kuman for a 90-metre try, but the video referee ruled no try.
Be overturned, mate, for a no try.
Bat Sutcliffe capped off a brilliant performance with a try in the last 5 minutes as she powered her way over from close range, with England running away with a hard-fought 36-8 victory. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that's a wrap on TrueCar Sports. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
TrueCar Sports. TrueCar Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight in the New Guinea Islands region only. Brief afternoon showers in Lorengau, few showers in Kevieng, fine weather in Buka and mostly fine in Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's been Friday's news. Thank you for your company. From the entire news team, good night.